Hey, White Sox fans, this is Brett Ballantini. I'm hosting a Southside Sox podcast. It's the mothership, number 58, unless I have it wrong. I think it's 58. And the White Sox have just swept the team formerly known, to steal a line from our recap writer from tonight, the delightful Celeste, team formerly known as Chicago Cubs. But we'll talk about that in just a second. Let me welcome in the guests for this podcast, fully representing the Indianapolis field office once again, my friends. This is Chrystal O'Keefe. You may know her from the Estrogen Power Hour. We like to call it the Estro. Hey, Chrystal, what's happening? Like the wave. Super Joseph Resis, you may know him from Sox Math. Hello, Joe.
Hello.
And Zak Hayes, you may know him from such articles as, well, let's break down Ryan Tepera. Let's break down, who the heck else was it? César Hernández. And coming soon to a Southside Sox website near you, what in the world's going on with Dallas Keuchel? Hello, Zak Hayes.
Good to be here.
Zak, please explain your connection to the city of Indianapolis. Otherwise, I may have to ask you to leave.
Oh my goodness. The last time I was in Indianapolis was, oh man, this is super embarrassing. Actually, no, I drove down for like a 1 day like road trip to see a friend, and it just like did not go well. It was
okay.
I had to leave at like 5 in the morning to drive back up to Chicago on Monday morning for work, and it was the time. That's my connection to it. That's my resounding impression of Indianapolis.
Did any of it involve search of a homemade churro?
Ooh, no, I wish it did.
Okay, yeah, that actually would be better. Well, our colleague, Trevor Lyons, one day we'll taste a churro, and I believe it will involve driving to Indianapolis and having one of Crystal's delicious homemades. Okay, folks, the sweep. You would have considered it maybe a foregone conclusion, but really only this game was sort of a foregone conclusion. This team, meaning the Ivy Bumblers, is horrible, but any team can beat any other team, and this is a series that's, I mean, let's face it, this is their playoffs. I can only imagine what it's going to be in Chicago, I think later on in the month. Impressions of the series, satisfaction from winning it, or are you angry it was as close as it was?
I'm happy they won, and I'm sick of the whole, well, they're playing our farm team right now. I'm like, cool, the Charlotte Knights have also whooped up on almost every team they've played lately, so please be gone with your BS farm team.
It also ignores the fact that the White Sox have sort of held their own against the Cubs in recent years. I imagine they've lost more than they've won, but they've held their own definitely at best with the Charlotte Knights. I'm guessing maybe we might be talking more Winston-Salem plus Schaumburg alternate site journeyman. So yeah, that line is not going to fly. Give us a couple of years before we pulling that out, North Siders. Joe, Zak, impressions of this debacle for the North Siders?
I couldn't be happier. Oh my goodness. This has been just an incredible weekend, and I don't really have anything to complain about right now. I mean, and plus, like, yeah, another thing about that argument of like, wins against us don't count if we are bad. It's kind of also just like ripping on your own team. So I don't really quite understand that one either. But yeah, it's a 3-game sweep is a 3-game sweep, and I will happily take it however you can get it.
Yeah, Joe, it's a criticism of the process too. Okay, we decided to jettison all of our players, but now we also get to fill the cry towel because we got rid of all of our players. Pick a lane, you clowns. Zak, talk to me.
I'm almost as great as it would be to go in there and whoop them like 12-0 every single time. I'm actually almost kind of distrustful at this point in the season of having too many like resounding easy victories with 2 months left to play. The fact that they came out of the series 3-0 when at multiple points it seemed like with at least games 1 and 2, and even at for a couple of tense outs there today, there were moments where we thought, oh no, they're gonna blow this. This is not gonna work. There's something is gonna happen. These were not easy wins, and it's good to see them be able, even against a bad team, be able to pull out 3 in a row where they were just not really until today clicking on all cylinders.
Zak Hayes trotting out his White Sox fan bona fides by saying, you know what, I didn't feel right. It just didn't seem right. Yeah, I'm sure that you're not the only one who watched these games thinking, and I like, this is a twist. This isn't, oh, something's going to go wrong only. It's also, this can't be easy for 2 more months. I'm not trusting this. This isn't right. Me, I'm like, let's win by 15 every game. But I see your weird, like, karmic argument there, Zach. So, I'll buy it. Zach, you've profiled a number of our trade acquisitions. I would like to start off with you, but taking around the circle here. And I'd like to know who of the three has impressed you the most so far.
Oh, it's got to be César Hernández, without question. I mean, it doesn't help that Kimbrel and Tepera both had, less than stellar opening acts with the team. Not that particularly clouds my view of them at all. But Hernandez has been exactly as advertised. I think he went over tonight, but until now he hit 350 in his first week. He's hitting for power. He's making the plays in the field. He's beating out infield singles. He's just doing all of the little things right. Is like, I don't want to say glue guy, but he's really, the lineup has a little more cohesion when you just don't have the black hole of Danny Mendick or Layuri in there, a spot higher than they should be, and that bumps the floor up for everybody else, I think. So I've been really, really pleased with how he's been so far.
Yeah, he hasn't missed a beat, and that's really nice too, that he just seamlessly moved right into, I mean, it's like he's been here all year. Joe and Chrystal, you sort of seeing the same thing?
Yeah, I've been most impressed with him. I've had to talk my mother-in-law off the ledge about the guys from the Cubs. She was like, well, they're terrible. And I was like, well, they've been great. They've been great this season. Maybe they're just like sleeper agents. But
your mom believes in Cubby Stink too. See, welcome to the team officially now, Mrs. OK. Yeah, Cubby Stink. We don't want to talk about it. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. Joe, César impressions or otherwise?
Yes. Don't have that much to add to this one. César Hernández has definitely impressed me the most. And especially the insurance home run on Friday's game, that turned out to be an important one. Assuming the same thing would have happened in the bottom of the 8th, which didn't go the Sox's way. And hit another insurance home run Saturday as well. It's nice to have another powerful bat in the lineup, and so far the defense has been solid as well.
All right, let's take our break on the early side here. I suppose we're approaching midway, but don't worry. You'll get your full money's worth, listening audience. We'll just drag it on. That's how it rolls. Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with podcast 58. Hey, White Sox fans. Brett Ballantini here, hosting Southside Sox podcast number 58. I am very, very delighted and lucky to be joined on this podcast by the entirety of the Indianapolis field office. It is Chrystal O'Keefe and Super Joseph Resis. And from parts unknown, certainly not Indianapolis, we have established in the first half, it's Zak Hayes bringing it home, representing outside of the field office, but still Eastern time zone again. Rules on these podcasts. I, for the life of me, will never figure out why.
No, I'm on the Central time zone.
Exactly, and you are outvoted 3-1. I gotta tell you,
3-way.
These clowns, all these people, they're like, the whole staff is like, yeah, come on, let's do some podcast action. And every time I go around the table, Joseph, Chrystal, always there. Zach, you are carrying the Central time zone right now.
Bring it back a little bit.
There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. Don't just start jumping in the car and driving Indianapolis right now. Don't take it that far. Okay. I need to know favorite. It's been 25 odd years or so. Cubs and Sox have played each other since they both existed, but only maybe the last quarter century we've had interleague play. And this is, I believe, the third sweep the White Sox have committed in Wrigley Field. I'd like to know what your favorite White Sox Cubs interleague memory is.
Can I be super cheesy?
You
like
can be.
Cheese factor out the window.
What do you think we're doing here? Of course.
Obviously my wedding night, because we opted to not have a reception and go to a Sox Cubs game at Sox Park. I don't want to talk about the outcome of that game, but we got a bunch of wedding pictures outside the park, and it was a happy memory.
You would be in trouble, Chrystal, if that wasn't your memory. And actually, I don't want to bring up like skeletons in the closet here, but at the time on the wedding day, it was a happy outcome for you.
Yes.
Or were you
and no,
transitioning?
because that I think was the moment where I was like, I hate the Cubs. What am I doing? Like that, it started that night where I was just like, I don't know. I don't like these guys. So.
Sort of, let me just guess that it's related, but I'll share an anecdote from Celeste, who wrote our recap tonight and who was at the game yesterday. And I had seen a photo from somebody, I don't know if it was Lenny, I don't know who it was, somewhere out there. It had sent out the Aroldis Chapman jersey. And she said to me in passing today, oh yeah, I had one of those in front of me. And I was like, what, you mean Cubs fans? You mean Chapman jerseys? There's not just one per ballpark, there's one per section. And it sounded like the answer was yes. And all right, fill in the blank there. I'm not going to be angry. They swept, but holy crap. Okay, Super Joseph, give me a favorite White Sox Cub memory.
I like the Pierzynski home run in 2006. That was a moment I remember pretty clearly, surprisingly. It's been a little while. That was an era before I was on social media in any case. I guess MySpace was around and Facebook was pretty new at that point, but I wasn't on either of them yet. The Sox were down they were down to their last outs, down a run at Wrigley Field. I'd kind of had a feeling of resignation at that point. And they get back-to-back hits, and then AJ comes up, and I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe they have a chance. I'm glad I didn't turn the game off, but yeah, because I think on the broadcast they'd even mentioned the MVP of today's game is Aramis Ramirez when they were down to their last out with the bases empty. They jumped the gun a little bit on that one, and Pierzynski just crushed one down the right field line. And the honorable mention goes to the Eloy home run in 2019. I was on social media for that, and the takes from the Cubs fan base were pretty salty that day, but I think they would have been a little bit saltier had I been on social media in 2006. So I'm going to go with AJ's home run.
Cubs fans, those takes are only going to get saltier. You're going to be awash in salt. You're going to need a desalination machine to desalinate what Eloy is going to do to you over these coming years. Now, Joe, I think the series are usually played somewhat close together. Maybe 2006 wasn't the case. I was there at Sox Park for the punch. I'm guessing AJ may have still even been wearing a bruise at the time he hit his not walk-off, but his game winner at Wrigley. So that sort of made it nice. So you always sort of you can tie those moments together. It makes it extra sweet. Zach, okay, what you got?
Yeah, the context there it just makes it that much better. So I've got two, actually. They're both fairly short, and I can't remember too many details about one. This is a little bit immature and kind of reflects where I was at the time of when some of those heated late 2000s, Sox Cubs battles were. I remember a game in 2009. And the context again here is really important. The Cubs are coming off 2 straight division titles, but they're struggling in 2009. The White Sox are coming off, they won, 163 and all that. Also struggling a little bit, but very much in the thick of things. The Sox were streaking a little bit. Jake Peavy is on the hill against Carlos Zambrano. And I don't remember what happened. I'll have to go look it up or something, because now my interest has kind of peaked. But something happened, and that was the game that produced the somewhat legendary Carlos Zambrano complete and utter meltdown in the dugout in between innings, where he comes up and tries to fight Derek Lee, who is not somebody who's a nice dude and not someone you want to fight from everything I understand. And just, a classic Zambrano moment, but kind of towards the end where it was all right, the gig is up here a little bit. And being 14 when that happened, I thought it was the funniest thing in the world, And another one is just a real baseball nerd moment. And it was the year or two later when Paul Konerko was having a great year. Andrew Kashner is a rookie, and he's coming up and he's thrown 99, 100 out of the bullpen, and everyone's like, ooh, and he is facing Konerko late in the game. I think it's a close game again. I don't remember too much else. And Cashner blows 2 fastballs at 99 right past Konerko. And this is older, smart Konerko, not super powerful Konerko. And he tries it again for a third time. And Konerko says, no, just takes it the other way outside, right towards the pole. And just as someone who was growing up and like really figuring out the ins and outs of baseball, watching that happen was like mind to me. So,
a little masterclass.
That's my piece right there.
Hey, Super Joe, that's TCU's very own Andrew Cashner, no doubt about it. Okay, my moment, actually, you guys didn't choose it, so it's awesome. My moment, I was at the park. It started out with David Wells retiring maybe 4 batters before he fell over portly. Sorry, David, you may have had a borderline Hall of Fame career, but not in shape. Fell down, could not get up. So he was out of the game. Sort of a bummer to start off that way. But that game ended with a Carlos Lee walk-off grand slam, which I would say Carlos Lee really liked to stick it to the Cubs. So, he's sort of always got a little special place in my heart for what he decided to do to the north side. Now, Zach, I don't know if it was 2009, 2010. Maybe this just happened back to back. My little addendum note was actually in covering the team. I do recall being at Sox Park for a game. Zambrano was losing it in the dugout. He may have done it back-to-back years with Derek Lee. I think it was Derek Lee, but it was just delightful to realize it's going on below you, so you can't even see, but maybe you're catching some monitors or something. You're like, oh, the guy is losing it again. And it made for a little delightful sidebar, because I think at the time, at least the 2010 run, that was right in the middle of that 25 out of 30 run when I just happened to hop on the beat for the first time. It was like, wow, this is easy. Any team I cover just rocks and rolls their way to a championship. Now I found out otherwise very quickly in 2010, but for that moment, boy, we all could dream. Well, not Chrystal, sorry, Chrystal. I don't mean to keep bringing it up, but you weren't with us yet. Now you are, and you're double the fan, and I love you for it. Okay, awesome moments. So many. And, guess what? None of them involve the Cubs doing much of anything well at all. Hey, guess what? That's sort of the trend in this series. Let's talk a little bit, bring it back to 2021 White Sox, because Lord knows the Cubs, as of just a couple weeks ago, they seemed like they might be a formidable opponent in what was a tough start to the second half of the White Sox. It's suddenly getting a little easier by the Twins bailing even more on the season, Cleveland deciding to basically the division taking 3 steps back, and the White Sox looking around them and saying, I guess we've took a step forward because everybody else decided to just bail on the season, the Cubs included. Those were going to be hard fought, and now they're looking a little less hard fought. We'll see what they have in store for us at Sox Park later on the season. What do you need to see, each of you? I would like to know, given there are a lot of question marks still with the team, even though the one question mark doesn't seem to be whether they will make the playoffs or win the division. But that said, what are you looking for? What's one thing you're looking for from this team between now and the playoffs that's going to sort of hearten you or quell a fear you may have about it?
I want to see. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I just want to see how Luis Robert is going to come back and kind of gel with this team. Obviously the others have been just fine coming back, but that's the only thing that I'm just really, really curious as to how they're going to shift in that outfield, who's going to be sent down if, that happens, and just how he can get back into the groove. And if he is as quick as, Aloy has been, because obviously he was on fire tonight. Like that's my biggest kind of, what's going to happen with that, and just keeping him and everyone else healthy.
And Chrystal, literally how they'll shift with Robert in center field, and let's say corner outfielders who are first basemen, whether he will actually have to cover pole to pole for some games or not. It seems like he's willing. He seems like he likes it. So it may not be any problem at all. He may just hit the ground running, but we'll see how much Domino's pizza he had during his break. Super Joseph, what's a concern of yours?
So the front office deserves a lot of credit for the bullpen that it has put together. I just need to see it materialize a bit more. I need to be able to trust the relievers more in close games Like with the names that they have in the bullpen, I feel like we should be getting better results from them, and I think they will come. Yeah, the front office has done its job in that sense, but this is just a situation where for me to feel better about their playoff chances, I would like to see a little bit more reliability from that part of the team.
And is giving Tony La Russa more options a good thing or a bad thing? Okay, Zach, what you got?
I want to see them continue to be creative with how they're handling the pitching staff and the starters in particular. We just saw in the past 10 days or so the difference between a well-rested Carlos Rodon and a guy who's starting to feel the weight of throwing a lot more innings than he has in the past. I mean, if we get to game 1 in October and we see the Rodon that's throwing like 93, 94 instead of the one that's 97, 98 we just saw the other day, that can be kind of a problem. None of these guys threw more than 100 innings last year. You know, it's an open question for everybody as to how they're really going to handle the stretch run when things start to get heavy. So we can't afford to have, you know, Lucas Giolito losing his mechanics in the playoff start because he's tired. We can't afford Rodon to not have that life on the fastball when it comes down. So, you know, I'm more than I want Kopech to continue to be stretched out so he can be that multi-inning guy in the playoffs, give him a spot start. Now I'll deal with Jimmy Lambert and you know, Jonathan Stever once in a while, you know, to make sure
next
that those
year.
guys are or yeah, that's the thing. I think that's a sacrifice you have to make. And I'm not someone who I don't advocate like punting on games under any circumstances. But, you know, I think with the offense fully back, you can win a game. You can win a game with Jimmy Lambert and Ronaldo Lopez tag teaming. We've seen that already. So I think rather than, you know, continue to pump them out there every 5th day, I'm willing to, you know, deal with someone. I want to see some creativity there to make sure that they got to be fresh come October, man. That's when it counts. Yeah.
Ronaldo is back, baby.
He was great tonight.
He's hungry.
You know, he looks like he's throwing with a lot more intent and coming out of the bullpen. And I even when he's missing spots, I like it, honestly. He looks good.
Yeah, the uptick in velocity, if nothing else, he's got something back. I mean, I don't think it's just his vision, you know, is sharp. He's got something back. This difference between whatever the hell it was down in Charlotte and what he's doing now on the South Side is pretty impressive. And hats off to him. I love Lopez. I certainly had bailed on him early this season. And, you know, I'd love to unveil. Let's look ahead to what I believe is Thursday. Oh God, I don't even know. And Zach, you are recapping for us, volunteered to recap the cornfield game. But let's talk specifically, Carlos Rodon, I believe, is scheduled to make that start. The other person who just by merit might deserve that would be Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn is certainly old school. You can imagine him being a big Eld Walsh. You can imagine him drinking many beers after the game like they used to back in the day, or smoking cigars on the train between cities. Who deserves, if everybody was rested, who deserves that start? Is it Carlos Rodon? Is it Lance Lynn? Is it Lucas Giolito because he's the ace? Who would you have started if you had your druthers?
I think you look at the two big deadline acquisitions that the Yankees made, and it's I guess Anthony Rizzo is not going to be present, but so that kind of torpedoes. I was going to say, like, you have the two big lefties in there. I want Carlos Rodon up there. They are Stanton and Judge. If you get the ball up, they're not as good with velocity. I think it's a better matchup, honestly. And I think Rodon, I mean, he deserves the spotlight as much as anybody else at this point. So that would be, I have no problem with him getting that over Lance.
Indianapolis.
I second that. Although Lance Lynn is an Indiana like corn-fed boy.
Oh yeah, he is.
So like that's a real Sophie's choice between the two of them. But I do think it should be Carlos Rodon. I was really excited to see that he's slated up for it now because he deserves the world after what he's been through and what he's done this season.
Joe, you gonna mess this up? Yeah, okay. 3 for 3.
Yes, I agree. It's great to have multiple really good options for this. But yes, I would lean toward Rodon as well.
Hey, before Zoom bumps us because I don't have the budget of the Estrogen Power Hour, here's a question, perhaps more philosophical. Oh gosh, it could get political. The White Sox host the Cubs at some point. Some or all of you might be going to one of those games. Given the circumstances in the country, I guess things haven't changed everywhere. I am coming to you from Florida, so I am on the other side of the battle lines. But is there any hesitation if you were planning on going, if you've just decided to swear off going anyway? What are your thoughts about attendance given the situation? This seems to be, to some degree, perpetual pandemic.
I was just going to say, I still don't even feel comfortable walking into a ballpark that I feel like most of the people were vaccinated, and it was like a day game on a Thursday. So, full offense, I would not feel comfortable being around a bunch of unvaccinated Cubs fans. I won't add any other terms that I would have liked to have used just then, just because I'm going to try to be nice, but I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. I got a little nervous when I was in Pittsburgh last weekend too. But yeah, I don't think I could be around a bunch of like Cubs fans trying to do beer snakes or whatever, cup snake, whatever that's called. Like, I don't want their germs or their Cubby stink near me. Even though I'm fully vaccinated, they are like Delta variant carriers.
Yeah, to interject is as if it's as if promised guest Celeste did actually appear on this podcast, but I believe her line from yesterday was, I went to the Crosstown series game on Saturday and all I got was the Delta variant, but boy, it was quite a group of people. Joseph, Zach, how you feeling about things?
I've been going to a fair number of games. My mask has been glued to my face the entire time, especially with the situation with the vendors not being back. The concourse, especially the lower concourse, has been a bloody nightmare. Like, I don't leave my seat because it actually kind of gives me a lot of anxiety. And yeah, like I'm a cancer survivor myself. I take this as seriously as anybody else. The ballpark is kind of one of the exceptions I made for myself. As far as taking a risk, it is a risk comfort level. And for a playoff game, I think I would have to do it. For the Crosstown Classic, I think I'd probably survive without catching something in one of those. Put it this way: if I got COVID from a playoff game, I would be like, I don't know how mad I would be able to be. Relatively speaking, I would be pretty mad at myself for letting myself get it in any other circumstances. If I were to get it at a Crosstown Classic game, I would be bashing my head into the wall. So I think that kind of tells you how I feel overall.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Joe, I always call you Joseph. You're probably not Joseph. I'm gonna just keep calling you Joseph. So where do you stand? Joseph
is totally fine too. Yes, I've been to 3 games this year. I've been fully vaccinated, as soon as I had the opportunity to get the vaccine. I'm taking this seriously, of course. I've had, besides, when I'm like, eating something, at the ballpark, I've had the mask on as well. I feel pretty safe personally with the being fully vaccinated and in an outdoor environment, at least at this point in time. I'm definitely taking the risks seriously, but I feel pretty safe in that kind of environment.
I will say, with Anthony Rizzo no longer on the Cubs, we might be. Oh, I'm sorry, that was really insensitive.
Well, I was going to say, I thought it was very interesting that Aaron Booth said, well, we were just in Florida. Like, well, Aaron, I think you're missing a real key piece of the jigsaw puzzle there, but all right, okay, whatever you got to tell yourselves. Yeah, I don't know. It remains a strange situation because this is, we got the NFL starting up where there's been an interesting amount of pushback there from players where the quarterback was saying he's willing to stand behind a plexiglass to not get it when it's like, but yet he's willing to do everything he can for his team to win. What a strange time we live in. It's such a strange time. Aren't we lucky we've been around for all of it? and they're still in ellipses. Oh. All right. Well, that was a really positive way to wind up Southside Sox podcast number 58. Hey, listen, we're just sober and aware because we're smart. We're White Sox fans. There's something here. Okay. It's not just Lollapalooza extended like this last Crosstown weekend, and you still didn't win. That's the good news. See, Zach, you didn't have to go. They still won. You're like, I think they got this. I can sort of control them by remote. It's good. And we all got to enjoy 3 wins. And, let's not chalk up 3 more, but I think somehow the cup comes home this year. I think it comes home. Thank goodness. They have had a big gap in their trophy case for at least maybe a couple of years now. I think that ends this year. All right, guys. Joseph, Chrystal, Zach, thanks for hopping on for this Southside Sox podcast after dark. And, we'll have more. Guess what? You know what? Me and Zach are going to be back together real soon because it's about time for him to have his even though he's crashed like 2 or 3 already. It's time to have his unveiling podcast. We got to get to know the man behind the Pine Tar keyboard. We got to know just a little bit about what makes the guy tick. So we're going to have a sort of meet the players podcast that we're going to probably run. It's probably going to work out that it's going to be laid out on Field of Dreams Day because this is going to become Zak Hayes Day this Thursday. Call your friends, call your mothers, call your fathers, call your house pets, mark it on your calendar. It is Zak Hayes Day on Thursday. We'll have other stuff before that, minor league update, whatever. So thanks as always for listening, reading, sometimes watching. And when you want the extended mix, you gotta watch the Estrogen Power Hour because you ain't gonna get it here. All right, thanks everybody. Oh, please come on. We're in estro withdrawal, so to speak.
We're angry right now. We'll be back soon.
Okay, good. Let it build, and then let it out. All right. Okay. Thanks everybody as always, and thanks to 3 of you for hopping on to celebrate the Crosstown sweep. Awfully sweet. We'll be back at you with more podcast stuff sooner than you might even want.